Members, will move into our first bill on the agenda today, which is House File 4141. Representative Johnson, if you want to make your way to the front. While you're getting set up, Representative Johnson, the plan today is to lay your bill over for possible inclusion. Representative Johnson, to your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, co-chair, members. House File 41 amends Minnesota Statutes 609.2231 to include Housing and Redevelopment Authority employees. The statute provides higher criminal penalties when certain public employees are assaulted while performing their duties. The statute recognizes that some public workers cannot avoid conflict and provides stronger deterrents to protect essential public services. HRA staff work directly with the public in high-stress situations, including inspections, enforcement, benefit denials, and evictions, risk factors already recognized for other protected employees. This proposal does not create any new crime, does not extend government authority, and simply adds HRA employees to the existing statute. The legislature has already determined that when workers cannot avoid public contact or walk away from conflict, stronger penalties are appropriate to deter violence and protect essential public services. Protecting HR employees supports workforce stability, reduces turnover, and helps ensure housing services remain accessible and effective statewide. Including HRA employees in statute 609.2231 is an update that reflects today's realities and protects the people working every day to keep Minnesota house. And I also have my testifiers here today.
Thank you, Representative Johnson. We'll move to your first testifier, Melissa Taphorn. Welcome back to committee. Please introduce yourself for the record and continue with your testimony.
Good afternoon, Chair Igo, Chair Howard, and members of the committee. My name is Melissa Taphorn. I'm the Executive Director of the Washington County Community Development Agency, as well as the Legislative Chair for Minnesota chapter of the National Association of Housing and Redevelopment Officials, or NARO. Minnesota NARO members believe that adding Housing and Redevelopment Authority employees and agents to Minnesota Statute 609.2231 recognizes the risk our employees take in doing their job to serve the public. Housing and redevelopment authorities are tasked with a wide variety of housing-related programming. HRAs administer tenant-based rental assistance, own and operate affordable housing, buy and sell real estate, redevelop blighted properties, provide home improvement funding, as well as counsel new homebuyers and struggling homeowners. The bill increases the charge and penalties when an assault of an employee or agent of an HRA occurs. Agents of the HRA is defined as an individual under contract with an HRA, paid or unpaid, or otherwise acting on behalf of the HRA. So many HRAs rely on third-party property managers, service providers, relocation consultants, and security staff to act on our behalf. We also work with volunteers to provide homebuyer education, financial management, and other self-sufficiency classes. The bill would make assaulting an HRA employee or agent while they're performing their official duties a gross misdemeanor. If the assault results in demonstrable bodily harm, it becomes a felony, punishable up to 2 years in prison and up to a $4,000 fine. This is consistent with other public employees under that statute of our same, I would say, public service level. I asked our members, NARO members, for examples of recent crimes against their HRA staff, and I received a long list, but I'll share just a handful of those with you. Our property manager was assaulted on property. She was never able to return to work, and the suspect was charged with 5th-degree assault. This is before this bill was passed, obviously. The maintenance guy was pulled from his vehicle in a parking lot and beaten up by non-tenants. Concussion and other injuries were sustained. A homeownership specialist was sexually assaulted following a homebuyer class. The son of a resident threatened staff, then came back and shot up the staff's car, which was parked near the front of the building. He was upset with the officer because she would not allow him into the building. On-site building security was chased by a resident with an 8-inch knife. Resident was punching the security desk and kicking the door, screaming he was going to kill the security staff. Our property manager was assaulted by a trespasser. An unhoused individual forced to open the apartment's secure doors and charged at staff with 2 machete-type knives, telling her he was going to kill her. One of our housing specialists had a heavy set of keys thrown in her face by a person unauthorized in the property, ended up with a black eye. A resident's daughter was punching staff after fighting with her mom, and then once they were on the ground, started kissing him on the back of his neck. That daughter was already cited with a trespassing violation. So many of our NARO members also reported frequent threats of violence to HRA employees that the resident would kill, shoot up, or blow their heads off. HRA staff have a responsibility to serve the public, and we love what we do. But we also need to provide a safe working environment in order to attract and retain our quality employees. So thank you, Representative Johnson, for bringing this issue forward, and committee members for your time and consideration of House File 4141.
Thank you for your testimony. The next on my list will be Terry Smith. Welcome to committee. Please introduce yourself for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, Chair Igo, Chair Howard, and members of the committee. My name is Terry Smith. I'm the Director of the Metropolitan Council Housing and Redevelopment Authority. We are the largest administrator of tenant-based rent assistance across the state of Minnesota, serving 7,300 households and about 20,000 individuals with rent assistance, primarily through the Federal Housing Choice Voucher Program. I am also an active member of the Minnesota chapter of NARO, the National Association of Housing and Redevelopment Authorities. I'm here to testify in support of House File 4141 on behalf of Minnesota NARO and its membership. Across the state, Housing and Redevelopment Authority employees have experienced increasing aggression and threatening behavior from some stakeholders, including residents, program participants, property owners, property managers, and others from the community. These incidents include threats of violence, physical assault, and other forms of escalated behavior. Public service is rewarding work, but it's also really hard work. And in these times and the past years when we've experienced these escalated behaviors, the work becomes even harder. We still do our best to provide good quality public service to the people that we serve. I want to share a few examples of things that have been experienced by my agency, but also from around the state. In recent weeks, we had our administrative staff that takes all the first line of contact with the members of the public. And the person on the telephone was not getting what they wanted. And after escalated call, 17 calls in one day from this individual, she threatened to have her uncle come down and take the place down, come down and toss hands with our employees, which means, of course, to come down and fight the employees to get what she needed. In another recent example, a Metro HRA housing inspector attempted to complete a federally required health and safety inspection. During the first attempt, the tenant swore at the inspector, yelled aggressively about the scheduled time and other things. The inspector ended up canceling. During the second attempt, the tenant recorded the inspector upon arrival, which is not against the law and something that happens frequently. When the inspector asked permission to enter into a closed bedroom as required by federal regulation, the tenant began yelling aggressively. The tenant continued yelling, using expletives, and demanding the inspector get into a bedroom. The inspector noticed a hatchet strapped to the tenant's waistband, which made them move into exit mode. This inspector was able to back up and safely exit the unit, but this could have ended very differently. So that's just one example of some of the things that our team members experience in the community on a daily basis. Metro HRA and housing authorities statewide remain committed to maintaining a safe, respectful, and professional environment for both employees and residents. We treat applicants, participants, property owners, managers, and other stakeholders with dignity and professionalism, and we ask for the same in return. This is an issue impacting agencies' employees across the state, regardless of size. So some agencies might have 5 employees, others may have 200. And as we have discussions in our Minnesota NARO communities and committee meetings, agencies are experiencing all kinds of examples like this. Passage of House File 4141 will strengthen protections and support for HRA employees across Minnesota, helping ensure they can continue providing critical public service safely and effectively. So thank you for your time and your support of House File 4141. I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you for your testimony. With that, we will move into member discussion and questions. Vice Chair Dotseth.
Thank you, Chair Igo. Representative Johnson, I want to thank you for bringing this bill forward. I believe that this bill will help put some reasonable guardrails in place that help make everyone feel safe at the workplace and also in the housing itself. With that said, I also see that actually can actually make it help more affordable as well, where we're not required to actually come back for re-inspections. As you mentioned earlier with the testimony of the testifier had mentioned that they had to come back for a re-inspection. If you have to do that multiple times, that's a cost that gets put back on housing. I think this could help alleviate that issue as we move forward as well. So thank you, Representative Johnson.
Any further member discussion? I'll just close kind of going off what Vice Chair Dotseth said. Thank you for your leadership on this bill and this proposal. Again, this is a very important issue and very confident that with us laying it over today, we can have it hopefully included with some tweaks and stuff as we clean it up and work it into the rest of the things we're working on here around landlord-tenant work here in the housing committee as we work on our policy bill here in the closing days. So Representative Johnson, thank you for your leadership and bringing members of your community here together to bring this bill before us. But I'll give you the final word. Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Chair, Co-Chair members. This really is a worker safety issue. We have to make sure that those who go out there and serve the public, their families know that they're going to come home at night and that they're not going to be dealing with injuries and stuff like that. And that's what this is all about, is just making sure that those that we send out to do the work for us can go home safely to their families. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Johnson. With that, House File 4141 is laid over.